All right. Good evening, friends, and welcome to another live reality games podcast. Today is our Throwback Thursday old school LRGs, and we are going to talk about Reelfoot Season 1. I am your co host, Kirk, and I'm going to be exploring this today with a couple of Reelfoot legends. First off, is my buddy Travis. We've been doing a few podcasts together. You've seen him talking a lot about Survivor Michigan. Travis, he's from season 1 of Reelfoot, the season we're talking about. How are you doing, Travis?
I am excellent. I am happy to be here. Everyone who knows LRGs probably knows Reelfoot, and it has just evolved into something great and is so exceptional to be part of the original cast.
And also with us today, making his debut for the LRG podcast, is an alumni from season 2 and season
6.
Season 6 as well. Travis, you played as well, right? Again or not?
Yeah, kind of.
Anyway, sorry about that. This is Michael. Welcome, Michael.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. I've been a part of every single Reelfoot season in one way or another, except for season 1. But with that being said, I'm also probably the biggest Reelfoot fan. I've seen this season so many times. I know the characters on the season really well, so I'm super excited to talk about it.
And it's awesome to have you. And I want to say, in Michael's defense, too, if you watch any of the live streams of other games, even, Michael's almost always constantly chiming in, giving us some strategic pointers and his opinion throughout it. So I can't wait to hear your opinion about this season and future seasons. Hopefully, we explore of Reelfoot as well.
Cool.
And hopefully, our fingers are crossed that the creator, the host, Amos, will be with us as well. He was at work earlier, and we will find out soon. But right now, we're kind of going back in time and exploring the original cast. Travis, you were a member of this cast. Talk about like how the game started. Was there a day zero? Like, how did the whole thing kind of roll?
Well, we were trying to brainstorm. I think that this happened in June or July of 2013. This is relatively early on, I think, in terms of like the scope of LRGs. There were definitely games that happened before this, but Amos really had this vision of filming it and making it into these episodes. And, some of these games existed out there that attempted to do that. And I think that's kind of what inspired him. And so day zero was essentially us kind of all arriving to his property in Tennessee. There were some locals and then several people, like the true like online reality gamers that were looking for a chance to play a live game. Drove in, or even I think a few even flew in. And back at that time, it was just like not like a risk in the sense of like you're being kidnapped or something, but a much more of a risk in the sense that like you didn't know what to expect. There wasn't a basis for this. There wasn't like a huge comparison of like, oh, well, this is the expectation. This is status quo of what you get out of an LRG. It was still kind of like, we're making it, like we know what Survivor is, and we kind of want to create that feeling. So that's what Amos's energy was. And, he wanted those kind of challenges. He wanted that kind of intro and theme and like tribe dynamics and cast and all that. So, from day zero, I think, we got an opportunity to like talk with one another, hang out, and I think we were actually watching maybe a season of the show that was on at the time. I'm really trying to remember which one that was. I want to say it was after Fans versus Favorites, but whatever. We were watching that, and then one of the things I think about is a handful of us went to a hotel, and the other people stayed at the house, and that definitely played into the game dynamic. But I mean, I could talk forever. So that was generally how the game started up. day one was like pretty much the beginning of the next day, waking up and then taking some photos and stuff. And then it started.
So you're saying this was about 2013?
Yeah.
Because I do remember we didn't host Coco Pele that year. We took the hiatus that lasted for 5 years or so. And some of the members of this cast applied for the possible season of that. So it's nice that they got to play something. And also, you're talking about like Reelfoot is known for, I feel like, making YouTube Survivor a big thing. Like, they're the first or the biggest, like especially season 2 is where it blew up, but this is where we start. So let's get should we get into this cast a little bit?
Dive right in. They're right there in front of us.
Let's do it. I mean, I have questions for Amos, but like at the same time I kind of want to save him. I mean, this is kind of what Amos is known for, is his casting. He can talk forever about his ideas for casting, the archetypes. I mean, as a host, it's kind of what he's known for. He has his strong opinions on it. So we'll get into it, and we know some of these competitors, so we can kind of talk about them. So let's say it's what, 7 years later.
Yeah.
So we'll start with the Kapaya tribe?
Kapaya, correct.
Kapaya.
That's how you say it. Yeah,
we have
Kapaya Red.
Now we have Corey. Corey has a very long history in LRGs. You've probably seen him with a lot longer hair, and it says his occupation is a baseball instructor. That's interesting.
Yeah. That's probably one of the only things I would say he's actively good at. He is actually really good at live reality games, but he's not necessarily really good at the survival aspect. I mean, like, he can turn that part of his brain off that's like conditioned to feel annoyance from like rain and things like that, but actually like improving the quality of his shelter or tying knots or things like that, not his strength.
I'm sure he made it through with some liquid courage, though, too. I think that was something that
he definitely had a bag strapped to his leg going into the game that had liquor in it, and a little like straw that he would sneak off. And you know how like guys will take a knee when they're like playing soccer and then you gotta pee. Like, he would basically do the same thing, would pull it out and take a sip of liquor. I think that lasted him less than a day, but yeah, liquid courage indeed.
It's a pretty good luxury item, I guess, out there, because he's definitely brought that one to a few games.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, Corey almost. I feel like I had alcohol poisoning before Pirate Booty Camp season 1. Practically, I was like, this was a bad life choice, Kirk. Never do this again. But he's an amazing player, and I can put it out there. Corey's one of the only. He's in the Sandra Club. He's a 2-time Survivor-esque game winner, and I don't know what it is about his game. I've played with him, and it's baffling how good he is.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense.
This is so shocking for me to hear, because again, like I'm not like, I watch some of the other LRGs, but again, first and foremost, I'm a Reelfoot fan, so I only know Corey from this. And Corey from this, I don't get the Sandra vibes that you're talking about, but that's interesting to hear. There's a whole other side to him I've not met.
Well, and let's also remember that this was his first LRG. Most of the people in this season were playing their first one, I think. But yeah, I mean, he's played, I don't know how many since, 10, 12. But yeah, he definitely, you could see what I call like the viewer syndrome, where people are like watching the game as it's happening, even though they're in it. Like, he was very content watching this game happen.
He loves his sports. Survivor is definitely a sport for this guy.
100.
Anything, I mean, anything else about Corey we need to tell the audience? I think that's a good background.
Yeah.
We got him covered. We were
Yeah,
being
for-
gracious.
Yes. All right, and let's go to one of the youngest members of the cast, maybe youngest members to play like a adult survivor. I don't know what to call it, like a legit survivor that I know of. Evan Kirksey, age 15, from Springfield. His occupation, of course, he's a high school student.
Sophomore. High school sophomore.
I kind of know the answer to this because I've played with Evan in Pirate Booty as well. But both Corey and him were in that same season, so I should have thought more about that. But Evan, for me, he was always like an inspirational story when I saw him play, and like seeing a kid kind of being able to take out some older folk. I don't know, I like Evan's story. I like his arc.
Oh yeah, he's without a doubt like the hero of the season until he gets kind of maniacal at the end. But that's Evan too. I mean,
It is.
that's how he is. He loves Survivor and he plays it to the best of his ability, and he gives 100%. And watching that first episode, like, how could you not basically be crying? Like, he's just basically laying it out there, like how important this is to him. And I think it's important to a lot of people, but the way he expresses it is just so open and honest and real, and you feel it. Like, that is part of what made Evan is part of what made this season and series what it is because he was a relatable character with a storyline that you were actually invested in. You wanted to know next episode, is he still going to keep playing? You know, you hope.
Yeah, no, Evan. So again, I met Evan. He came out for season 2, and we hung out for a little bit. And I did. I had a different perception of him from what I saw on the screen, which was he did kind of turn a little evil at the end, and he was such a gamer, which was so cool to see because I mean that's kind of what I was too. But then you meet him in real life, and he is like the sweetest, nicest person there is. So I'm really glad he got this opportunity. You know, I didn't know about live reality games until I was 19 and I played season 2. And that meant so much to me. Like I was a little kid. So I can't even imagine what it was like being a 15-year-old, being able to live your dream, so to speak.
Yeah. I mean, I think it translated really well over camera, but he was living his dream in real time. And you saw that every time he walked from his camp to the challenge, every time he just stood there with his little buff on, you know, like it was everything to him. And, you know, this is a game. It's not real Survivor, but it's people like Evan that make it feel like it's a real Survivor because they transform it. Like, yeah, you're there at a property or whatever, and the game starts off like that. But there's always that moment in the game where, like, you're no longer like in Nowheresville, Tennessee, or whatever. You're transformed into this new locale that is the season you're in, and I really think it's like players like Evan who just really immerse themselves in the game, like. Everything was the game for Evan once he was there. So just love any competitor like that because they really do take you out of your mindset of like, oh, I have work tomorrow or whatever. No, you're in the game.
Evan's such a player. He'll try any strategy, and if he has some teeth in what he says because he's such a great debater. If you know anything about him, that's what he does. So like he comes across as like maybe a little bit aloof, innocent, but he knows exactly what he's doing. He's a fierce competitor. It's fun to watch him. Let's move on to Mr. Jared Updike. He was 21 from Indiana, and his occupation is balloon artist. What?
Mm-hmm. A man of many talents. I think Jared was like the early pick to win, at least in my book. He was just very charismatic from the get-go. You know, it was a small core group to begin with. Some people didn't show up in the last final hours of the game. It was designed to be 16, and then it was supposed to be 14, and then it was supposed to be 12, and then ultimately we ended with 11. And I think we still had a last-minute replacement or two. But Jared just had this air of like, I don't know, mystery and confidence at the same time. He just was one of those people that you felt like you're really going to get to know while you're out here because he seems like that kind of genuine person. He also is obviously sneaky, but he is pretty honest and genuine. Like, he is who he is. And I think that connected with a lot of people in this season versus some of the people he aligned with who weren't always how they like acted. Jared was pretty in step. And I think it's hard to like pinpoint a hero of the season, but he's one that I think had I guess an underdog story in some weird way for an 11-person cast and tried to really play from the bottom up, sort of.
Yeah, so Jared, if you've seen season 2, you'll know that there was a little connection with us because one of the reasons I was targeted is people thought that I was Jared's brother.
Yes.
Oh yeah,
yeah,
right.
So, and Jared was on production then as well, so I got to know him, and we had a good laugh about that after the game, and we got really close, and we joked about being brothers, and we kind of looked similar. We both had a funny little occupation name. His is balloon artist. I was pizza decorator. Like, we just, in a way, like after that, we did kind of become brothers because I consider him like one of my closest friends from Reelfoot now. I think Jared's an awesome dude. He played a really fun game. And I think in a way, I think Evan is probably the hero of this season. But when it comes down to it towards the end game, it kind of comes to a battle between Jared and Jalen. And I think that is like the perfect hero versus villain storyline. And I think Jared is the hero of the story. And it was a weird season considering it was such a small cast, but I still think he was one of the best winners too.
Mm-hmm. I can stand by that.
I got to meet Jared for a bit because he was a cameraman at Pirate Booty Camp, season 1, and he kind of let me know on the sly he was rooting for me. So he's good in my book.
Yeah, I hope to see Jared reemerge in the LRG world. He's had so many different things going on in his life in the last few years, but especially with no one being able to really get to do live games. Right now, I think that's going to light a fire under some people to maybe kind of dive back in. And he is one I would love to see play in another game.
So, Jared, is this the only game he's ever played in?
Now that you mentioned, as far as I know, I would have to say
no. He
so.
played in Darwin. Oops, sorry. He played in my game.
Fine. Again, I'm not the LRG expert here. I'm more the Reelfoot expert, so yeah. I don't know.
So he played in Darwin as well.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Super memorable in that.
All right, so let's move on to a guy who was going to be with us, but I think he said he had to work tonight. This is Mr. Kyle Peppers, at the time age 23, from Tennessee, and his occupation, I didn't know this. Is this true? Is this still a thing? YouTube personality?
Yes, sir.
Really?
I'm trying to remember his stage name. I think it had to do with Peppers, like something like that. But yeah, he did some pretty fun little, like, I guess, like mini drag podcast thingies, I guess, kind of, sort of. It was very interesting to see them after the game was over because he dressed how you're seeing right there for the time that he was there, and then he was like, check me out on YouTube, and then check him out. He kind of looks like done up Dolly Parton, sort of.
Wow.
Very, very big transformation. But talking about transformation, look at him in, I think, what was it, season 7, 8? What season is that? that he played in again?
Oh, 6.
That was 6. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, he played with us.
Yeah,
6.
hard to remember. Hard to remember. But yeah,
And that
Kyle was. Go ahead.
he did really well, right? In 6, wasn't he? Yeah.
Final 5 or 6, maybe something like that. Yeah, out
Yeah,
of a
he got a
24-person
vote
cast.
too. I think there was kind of the men's club on the jury towards the end, and he did a little bit of backstabbing. So I don't think he was a lot of people's favorite at that time, but there weren't a lot of favorites at the end of that season to begin with. In season 1, he actually had to dip. A lot of, I mean, you see it on the episode, but he really got cold feet that night. It was awful. I mean, we'd already spent a night out there, so he had survived a night. But there have been at least 1 or 2 seasons of Reelfoot that were really bad with rain. But that first 40 hours of the game, it rained like 36 hours of it. And you don't get a lot of that footage because we weren't even filming in it. And trees were falling over. There was flooding and stuff. It was just not, it weren't great conditions. No one was sleeping. But long story short, he didn't want to go through a second night. I think he was just like done. I think he felt like he wasn't in a great position on his team, or I don't know exactly all. But Amos and I sat there with him forever, and we're just like, go to bed. Like you regret it if you leave. Like just try to push through it, because he actually, I think, was the cast member besides maybe like Desiree that lived the closest. He only had like an hour drive or something. So we were just like, just stay, and then he didn't. He ultimately just did decide to go, and it's his decision. Like, until you play one of these, you don't know what it's like to be out there. And people can talk shit on people that quit, but it is hard. It is really hard, and it's a mental thing. Like, you can get past it, and having other people get past it helps. But look at his tribe. Like, what was motivating him there? Like, they literally slept. Do you remember in All Stars, Real Survivor All Stars, the abomination of a shelter Rupert tried to build, like where they dug holes in the sand and stuff? Well, they essentially did a version of that on Reelfoot. They like dug up enough mud and filled it with water that they slept in the water because their theory was that their body temperature would heat the water more than like the planet Earth would cool the water. So they all willingly slept in muddy water in a group, like in a line.
I never heard this story. This is crazy.
Night. And there was a few of them that even peed in that to try to warm themselves.
Oh no.
Yeah. And then eventually I think they decided not to sleep in it anymore. They really were the learning curve tribe. They were the ones that really struggled with the poison oak and poison ivy. They just they didn't have that level of experience. They were very young and not outdoorsy. They were not the outdoorsy group at all. Not that there was like a big outdoorsy group, but they were not it.
Well, I love his highlights, and maybe if he had come with the Peppers wig, Dolly Parton wig, maybe that could have been a shelter for the tribe. I mean, and to your point, Travis, everybody who thinks it's so easy to play Survivor, and they're like, oh, I could deal with the hunger, I could deal with the backstabbing, the paranoia, the this, the that. When it rains, it gets real for any player. I've seen the strongest people crumble on the real show and in somebody's backyard.
Mm-hmm.
I've never experienced rain. So I went on a camping trip, like aside from all of this stuff before, and it rained and the tent leaked and it was like the worst time of my life. So I knew coming into Reelfoot that was like the one thing that would probably break me. And I was blessed never to have to deal with that. But if you tell me that he was in rain for 40 hours and then quit, I don't blame him at all. I could never do that. I was so concerned that would happen, and that I would just because you can't sleep, you can't make fire. Rain is like the worst possible thing, and then it's just like it's like torture. Just constant rain on you, constantly wet. It's just that's the worst. So I totally understand why he did it. Can't blame him at all.
I mean, they had that foot rot on day 2, like that stuff you see on Survivor where like the skin's peeling off and stuff. They already had that on day 2 of the game. It was just like, what is going on? We're in someone's backyard right now. Like, this should not be happening. But it was real. I mean, it was real fun.
That's a real foot. Yeah, that happens. Like, to people who play Survivor, and like I want to say that about Corey. I played Pirate Booty Camp with him for a week. He never took his shoes off.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
People, you need to dry out your feet when you play Survivor every day, as long as it's not raining for 40 hours. Because trench foot happened in Live to Give with Janicki just recently. It happened somewhere else too. But yeah, it's a legit thing. So Kyle comes back, as a returnee in the next season. But let's go to our next infamous player, well known from a lot of live reality games, whether he's in it or assisting. This is Mr. Keandre Bell Washington, at the time 29, from LA, and he was a waiter. So we have so many stories about Keandre. We just don't have time to cover a ton of them, but let's talk about him in season 1.
What a personality. I mean, I think that's part of what made season 1, with it being just 11 people, like pretty much everyone brought it. They were whatever personification they were of themselves. And Keandre is unabashedly himself. Like, I don't know if he can really be a fake version of himself. He's just Keandre.
Sorry, I have a little visitor here.
That is absolutely adorable. Hi. Oh my gosh. Look at her. She's got your eyes.
Aw. So quick question, Travis. Can you see my Facebook messages popping up on the share screen?
I cannot.
That's fabulous. Great.
Yeah. Yeah, I cannot. I was nervous about that earlier. I can see a lot of like what people are posting as we're talking.
Oh yeah, a cool thing too. You can click that and the comment can go across the screen as well, which is very cool.
Wellcox shouting out Reelfoot 8.
Oh, I love that. See?
Rain.
Clark. Oh, we got to, you know what? Just a tangent really quick. Clark, we need to get you on to talk about some of the LRG stuff you're a part of. Sure. So Keandre, if you don't know about him, ask any host, ask almost any player who's played an old school LRG. Everybody's got a story about Keandre. He's great.
Very memorable.
So, but let's move on to the cats. Yeah. I can't believe she was 23, from Jersey at the time, a hostess, and Stephanie's gone on to do some amazing things. But tell me about her. You guys know her personally.
Man, I don't even know where to begin. I love Steph. We have come so far from moments we had during the game, especially in like Ponderosa. We had so much time together after we were voted out. And she is just loud, outspoken, very opinionated. And I butt heads with her, but I love her for it. Like, she's another person we have to see play another live game, because I mean, she was just a baby back then, 23 years old. She's like full-grown woman now, and she needs to show us what she can bring to the table, I think.
Yeah, so Stephanie, sorry. I was reading the chat. But Stephanie, so back after playing season 2, Amos seemed to have a lot of appreciation for me, and he talked about all-star games and stuff like that. So I'd always kept that in the back of my mind. And anytime that somebody came through Nashville that was a Reelfoot alumni, I made a huge effort to go see them and try to buy them lunch. And basically, I never stopped playing the Reelfoot game. And Stephanie was one. I've only met her one time, and that was one time she happened to be in Nashville. We went to Mellow Mushroom. We talked about our seasons. And she was a lot of fun, and like all pre-gaming aside, I genuinely wanted to play the game with her because again, I'm a Reelfoot fan, and she was just so much fun in the season.
Mm-hmm. She has so many good one-liners, and just her logic about things. I love when she's just in the challenge, like counting on her fingers for like 5-6 minutes at a time. Like it's just a math problem. Like add it up. Like, but she has this way of just like digging her heels in, and I don't know. She's very like kind of like nails on chalkboard, but very endearing at the same time. Like you root for her. I don't know how she does that. That's a hugely weird dichotomy to me. I cannot pull that off, but she is really good at being like big but appreciated.
So is this the only game LRG that she's played?
I feel fairly confident to say that. I don't know that with certainty. I feel like she could have played something low key out in California since she's been out there. But yeah, I want to say so.
So I know Steph from an online reality game called iSurvivor. She's one of the like moderators, I want to say, but she's always reading our comments and liking them. So I dig her. This is an ongoing theme, but she's a fan of mine in that game, so I totally dig her.
I see how to gain your appreciation, Kirk.
Yeah, I'm really easy. I'm very gullible. Okay, so I think that is the entire.
Oh, Stacy said she was in camp. I hadn't seen that one, but I knew she was in something else. But
Oh, that's right. Camp season 1, I think. That's recent. That's a recent LRG. I didn't watch it yet.
yes, I have not seen it yet either. So tune in and see Steph on camp.
Yes, and then you can also, like you said earlier, on Netflix.
Yeah, she's on Brain Games. If you haven't seen,
I didn't know this.
yes, it is super good. Unexpected, knocked me out of left field. I forget what episode, but I want to say it's like one of the gender battle ones, or it has to do with memory. But yeah, she's there. She's in the episode a few different times. Her and her mama, I believe. And yeah, she's also a prostitute on like SVU, Law and Order SVU. She's a little poor girl in the background. I am a super huge Steph Katz fan. I know all IMDb stuff.
Steph, we'd love to have you on someday.
Yes.
All right, so let's move to how do we say it, Travis?
Calipin.
Okay, and we're getting to a player who ended up returning in a later season. I remember that much. This is Desiree. She was only 18, Tennessee, and she is a beauty queen. I don't remember this.
She is a beauty queen. When she is all dolled up, bam, she is a looker. But actually, I don't know if she did return for another season.
No,
she definitely came back for a few different things, but if she did play, I want to see it because I would love to see the evolution of Desiree because to me, she was exactly that. When Survivor casts a beauty queen on the show who has maybe heard of it but never seen an episode, that was Desiree. She literally had not seen any of the show, maybe except for what we watched the night before. That was really neat to see. Not so fun to play against, but it is neat to see someone really wide-eyed and just coming into the game, really not knowing what to expect every moment of the game. It's new and fresh, and she learned as she was going, and it's fun to see people who don't know the game take out super fans. You know what I mean? At least I enjoyed it.
I don't know Desiree at all. I did meet her very briefly in two, but it was like a handshake, and then we both went our separate ways. I've never really talked to her. And to be honest with you, like when I found season 1 before season 2 and I was watching it, Desiree, if I'm being honest, Desiree was one that frustrated me because I was like I didn't realize live reality games existed when I found Reelfoot 1. So like I was like blown away. I knew I was going to sign up for season 2 immediately, but when I was watching season 1, I was like I could be there. I'm a bigger fan than her. And I'm like, you got to do this. You're doing this wrong. You don't understand. But now it's like I look at it and it's like she threw herself into this brand new experience and she embraced it. She had fun and she went a long way. So who am I? You know, did better than me.
Yeah, she dove in and slept to that rain like everybody else and ate that gross food and hung out with strangers, complete strangers. I don't think she knew a single person there except Amos. So, really kudos to her for just doing that at all.
Yeah.
And I always think players like that are super fun to play with because they're solving the game and they're almost, I don't know, if you try to build an alliance with them, they're going to be a little bit impressionable to an extent.
Oh yeah.
Oh, right. So let's move to, you've heard this last name before. This is Mr. Darren Kirksey. This is Evan's father, age 49 at the time. And he's a coach. I don't remember that either. I've had the pleasure of meeting Darren. When I played against Evan, he was off-site kind of as a chaperone, and he was a pleasure. I never got to play with him, but that would be really weird playing with a parent.
Yeah. But I have to say, what an amazing man. Great role model for his son. And just like when you talk about like down home Southern hospitality, like it's Darren. Like he is just sweet and genuine person. And he did not come out there to play. He came for his son. His son's dream was so important to him that it became his own dream, sort of, like, well, I'll be a part of this to make this real for my son. And it's frustrating from a game player's perspective, but like, once again, another cool storyline to be like, he was doing that for Evan, but he was also kind of a little bit like Desiree in the sense of like, he was learning. He watched the show a little bit with Evan, being his father, being in the background and stuff. I don't think he like embodied the game like Evan does, but he cast some good votes, I guess, here and there. So kudos to Darren. And yeah, just really, little known fact, this is one thing I remember about him. His brother is best friends with Brad Pitt. They went to high school together. So like when you're sitting around the campfire and you're telling those stories at 2 a.m. because it's raining and it's disgusting out, those are the kind of things you learn. So maybe Brad Pitt will play Reelfoot one day. Who knows?
So yeah, Darren's a great guy, and on your tribe as well was one of my old good friends, Rebecca Chatfield, 44, Wisconsin, lives directly across Lake Michigan from me. If there was a bridge, I'd be at her house in like 45 minutes. And she's in the healthcare profession. She's a respiratory therapist. Rebecca had played in Coco Pele season 4, where she got 6th place. That was her first excursion, and then she helped started to help produce games for a couple years for Coco Pele, and then I think this was her next game she played.
Mm-hmm. I think you're right. Another really fun personality. Back at the time, I was a cigarette smoker. I am no longer a cigarette smoker, but Rebecca is, and we instantly bonded right there from the beginning, chain smoking and talking. And I knew a little bit of Rebecca before the game started, but I really think this was my first in-person meeting of her. And hands down, easily the person I bonded with the most from the entire season, and I considered my closest ally. So, Team Rebecca right here.
Yeah, we're kind of entering the land of some people I don't know too well. Rebecca, it was kind of hard to get a read on her because she went out a little early, and I think she did come back for production for one season in the future, but again, I never met her too much, but she seems awesome, and I'd like to get to know her more someday.
In all the pictures, she just looks like that woman that's like super prepared for Survivor. Like she had like the Survivor pants, the Survivor jacket. Like she's wearing like the like Kathy Sleckman wide brimmed hat. Like she's super prepared.
And she had the like hammock tent luxury item. It was like a waterproof hammock that sealed up and bug proof too, for one. It's like that's the smart bring.
She for when she played Coco Pele, she kind of cheated. She got to the site early and she hid like 3 fake immunity idols just out in the random woods. Nobody ended up finding one, thank goodness, but I found about this post game and I was like, "Oh, that's sneaky. I kind of like it."
I did not know that. She used pretzels as her fake idol in this season, so it's good to know that that's something that she's been doing for a while.
Yes. Very well known. Sneaky, sneaky. All right. And then next, somebody who, how can you not know this man? Mr. Jalen Roach. He was only 17, Tennessee. And at the time, oh my gosh, a seminary student. He has definitely progressed. He's in LA now doing lots of great things. Jalen, I mean, we all know Jalen personally here, so go at it, you guys.
You go right at it, Michael.
Yeah, Jalen. Again, he's become another really good friend of mine. He was one that I was kind of baffled watching him play the game because I think he made a lot of really smart decisions the way through. And again, between Jared and Jalen, it was kind of a toss up between who was going to win the thing. And Jared ended up edging out, but I never really lost the respect that I gained for him in that season because he was so young and he did so well. And again, we got to know each other more. He was another person that came to Nashville, and I treated to lunch in hopes that maybe he'd pay me back someday in the game, not actual money. But and also he does Big Brother missions, and he's had me on there twice. And I have to think that probably was just because he's a good friend, not because he really needed me that badly. Because it was kind of like a church thing, and he let me into his church bubble, and I think he's an awesome dude. So,
yes, Jalen is 1 in a million. We've definitely had some growing pains, but I've known Jalen since he was like 15 or 16 from online games. Actually, the first ever online game I won, Clark Wilcox hosted, and Jalen played in. He got 4th. Because of me, and ultimately is the reason why I am the first boot of Reelfoot. It came back to bite me, and then we've had this discussion since and stuff. But Jalen is just like, I wish so badly he had played when he was 18 because we would have just been able to compete on a different level. But I've watched him grow from literally a child to a man. We've played multiple games together since. I actually played on his 21st birthday. I slept on the ground with him in the middle of the woods. Me, him, Reagan, and Mike Heller. And that's how we rang in his 21st. And then just maybe a year later, he spent my birthday with me playing and winning home for the holidays. So as competitive as you can get with people in these games and as heated as things can be, and there's rivalries, there's also like really deep, intricate relationships, and they're hard to explain. It's kind of like family, where like you don't always see eye to eye with this person, but you're going to like sort of have their backs just because they're fam, you know? So that's where Jalen is at for me. He's played so many different games. He's really an intense competitor. If you haven't played with him, please sign up and experience that, because it is really rare that you can say that about someone and they consistently deliver every time they're in a game. So that's Jalen.
So I hate to interrupt, but it looks like Amos is trying to get in here.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And he's having issues that I don't know anything about. I was just going to see if maybe you guys knew.
Let's see if I can get him to click this link.
He needs to turn his camera on, I think, is what the last thing said. So while you guys are figuring that out, I can talk a little bit about Jalen. I've gotten to play with him and watch him in this season, and also kind of hosted him for Pirate Booty Camp Season 3 for his 21st birthday. And he was a fierce competitor. He was so fun to play with or against because he made you play challenges so hard, because you can see the intensity on his face when he does these. But I don't know if he sang a lot. I can't remember that in Reelfoot, but he sang a ton and he has an incredible voice. And I remember thinking he could be such a charmer. I was so worried about him right away because it's like old school RPGs. Like he had that magic charm spell when he would sing to people, and people are going around the picnic table hanging out with him, and I'm like, this dude is going to be a major threat. And he really was. He was kind of leading a whole alliance in that game. And in this game, he was clearly, like you said, Michael, the villain.
Yeah.
I'd like to think so.
Well, I mean, he was. Honestly, he was really just playing the game. But at the same time, it came down to, and this is just my perception and the vague memory that I have of season 1. So maybe Travis can correct me there. But it seemed kind of like Jalen. Was this his first game? I guess I should start there.
Yeah.
So it seemed like he was motivated by a little bit of fear, and the fact that he was willing to say and do whatever it took just to make sure that he was safe, even if that meant making conflicting alliances and then breaking those alliances and then making new alliances. He didn't really care if he was going to end up backstabbing something later. He was just worried about being in the moment and surviving round to round. And in a way, that was something that I really respected, and I think I probably could have picked up a little bit more and used in my own games that I failed at.
For his age, just bar none, he knows the game. He knew the game at 17 years old. He knew it inside and out. So, he's just really smart, really bright kid, adult man now.
Yeah, and he does a lot of amazing things. He is, a singer, creates music, lives in LA, keeps this community together, does a lot of work in the LRG community. So he's a great force, and you'll probably see him in a game someday. And last but certainly not least, the man of the hour.
Look at that hairline.
That wasn't oof, that was woof, right?
Yeah, woof.
So Travis, 29, social working, there you are, buddy.
Let's underline the social worker, because if I had been in a different career field, I would have handled myself much differently during this game. But that was constantly in the back of my mind, was you have this is being filmed and you work in a career. So be nice to these kids.
Travis. Oh, go ahead, Michael.
Sorry. I was going to say, I was a big Travis fan when watching season 1 and being absolutely gutted. And that's me and Jalen started off on the wrong foot there, because I felt like he made a silly decision. Because I felt like, again, I think, Travis, your goal was to vote out Darren there, right?
Yes. My goal was to vote out Darren. Here is Amos. Amos, welcome. We can see you.
I figured it out, y'all.
We're proud beyond words.
Right.
So to quickly pause, everybody, for those of you watching that don't know, this is the host, the creator, the mind behind Reelfoot. Amos, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks. Sorry it took so long. I can't figure this site out.
I'm glad you're wearing flannel. I would not have expected anything less.
So we just went through your entire cast and kind of did like a background on each of the characters, or cast members, real people. So Amos, one of the things I was saying earlier is like you have strong opinions about casting when you cast LRGs. Do you want to get into that a little bit?
Yeah, I think for me, one of the most important things when it comes to casting is get, diverse cast. I like to make sure that I have, a good mix of people, people that may play a lot of these games, people that play online games, new fresh faces that nobody's ever seen before. I think it makes the whole dynamic of the game a lot more pure to me. So I like to try to make sure, I don't know, I'm really picky when it comes to casting. I'm a stickler with that.
For this season, though, for the first season, it was like my first season of Coco Pele. It was like, who can I get for me?
Yeah.
Well,
with this season, it was actually I had talked. It might have been actually with Travis. I'd been talking about doing like a weekend type just game with a bunch of people like that I play online games with just for fun. And it kind of turned into this 6-day long thing. I was like, yo, would y'all like to do like a whole week? And then everybody was like, yeah, let's do it. So we cast like 18 people, and you saw 11 people showed up. 2 of them we had to get last minute because we were like, we can't do this with just like 9 people. So our location fell through, and it was like the season that never should have happened, but it happened, and it was a great season.
It was so much fun. What a memorable season. Like, I still actually have like little dreams about being out there with those nightmare people. No, I loved everyone. Look at that photo of me. That should be taken off the internet right there. What is that?
This is one of my favorite pictures of you, Travis. Are you kidding me?
Who let me wear that cashmere like sweater out here? Like that should have been cut off my body. That's the thing, is like really planning your outfits out beforehand. Like I kept thinking like, oh, I just want to wear red or purple. But I wasn't really thinking about like what it would be like to wear those things. Like if it had been a nice autumn afternoon, great cashmere sweater, but it was dripping for like 2 days. That thing was just like a rag. It was so gross.
So Travis, what's around your neck right there?
A hair tie. So, yeah, riddle me that right there. I don't know what that was for, but it took the place of the buff a lot. Oh, there it is. It kind of.
Oh, gotcha.
Wow.
Yeah,
man. I think that sums up Jalen and my relationship. Look at what a baby he is. Like baby Jalen.
He died. Like he looks young. Like he doesn't. He's like 15 here, or what? 17.
17.
He looks much younger than that. Like he looks way. Like right here, he looks like a child.
I know. I'm sure I was just like that mean old man.
I mean, you were pretty grumpy.
Do you remember the spaghetti fiasco? I was so hungry.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I do get grumpy.
So I'm curious what's happening here.
Oh man. Oh man.
I don't remember this.
I don't remember the exact how it came to be, but it was controversial.
When Jared supposedly like they're doing that cross tribal talking or whatever, and like Then Jared didn't want to be part of it anymore, so he kind of like called Evan out for it. And then these are crocodile tears. Those are not real. Those are Evan crocodiles.
I think this was the scene where Keandre had actually went off on Evan or something and like really like went at him, and not thinking that he's a 15-year-old kid here. So this was that moment where they started. Keandre was apologizing and Evan was breaking down. So it was actually a really pretty moment. And I think it might have made like a scene or something in one of the episodes.
Yeah, no, I do remember this because it was, and I don't know if it was caught on camera, like as a just watching it, but I remember there was a lot of recapping of what happened, and it sounded like Keandre got pretty heated and said some ugly words, and then Evan broke down, and this was the aftermath. That's what I thought this was.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this was Keandre apologizing to Evan, and Evan, he was emotional out there, so.
Well, because isn't Jared over here? I thought Jared was here during this. Am I crazy or no? Is he over to the side? Is this a three-person combo?
It may have been. I
feel like that's what Keandre is looking at right now. Is Jared?
Yeah,
but
I think Keandre is mostly looking to see because I don't.
How to get out of there?
I think he was trying to apologize and have like this moment, and everybody was kind of around.
I feel like these last two pictures could be LRG memes. Like you could easily like caption both of these last pictures. Like somebody who watches this in the future, can you like Photoshop laser beams coming out of Keandre's eyes? I want that picture. Yeah, this is fun. Let's look at a few more of these. Oh, here's my girl.
Gosh, she looks so young too.
Yeah. And of course, in her element, trying to help out with what? Shelter, it looks like?
Mm-hmm. Rope tying skills.
Of course. Now, I think this is the picture. Is this the poison ivy?
Yes. Well, their whole tribe, they didn't understand what poison. I don't know if they just didn't understand what poison ivy was. But they thought if they grabbed it from the root, or like from the stem at the bottom and pulled it out, that they wasn't touching the leaves. So they wouldn't get it. And then nobody really knew what it looked like. So when they made their shelter, they only had that top tarp to cover them. So they literally laid on the ground, not thinking we're laying literally in a bed of poison ivy. So Jared had it like it was in his armpits. It was all over because he was shirtless most of the time. So he got it worse than anybody. But, Corey got it in his eyes too, to the point we had to actually take him out of the game temporarily to do some calamine lotion, soap and stuff.
Yeah, for sure. So for all of you sitting at home that have never played Survivor, but you watch all this stuff, this is proof. This stuff is real. Even these LRGs are very, very real for the players. Let's see. If any of these stick out to you guys.
Yeah, they all stick out.
I know, right? Oops, I'm sorry. I just resized the page. Let me get back to it.
It's so
there was
gallery too.
There was one at the top right there where you see the back of Travis's head. That's the caption from him calling out Jalen for having the auto at Tribal Council.
That's such a classic moment of this season. Like I still remember the editing of, I think it's Jalen grabbing the idol and then you look kind of over at him, Travis. Like, ooh, that was good.
I wanted him to play it so badly. Oh, but yeah, that was rough. That was a rough one because I was pretty much there with him when he found it. Like not immediately there, but like 3, 4, 5 steps behind him. And at that time we were still like working together, but it was this like sinking feeling where it was like if I had found it, I would have just felt so much better about it. It would have been our idol. But when Jalen found it, I never truly felt like, oh, that's our idol. I was like, he doesn't need me anymore. Like once he had that idol, I felt like he knew he could make a move against me, and he did. So no ill will towards him. Like that is how you play the game. That's what's smart. It's just when you had such a small cast like that and stuff, you're like, boop boop, let's send these people that like are here for to watch. Like I literally had sat down there and I was like, you can chaperone Evan from right over there in that lawn chair. Like go, like be the first boot. Like I want to play this game. Go. But everyone played, and that's how you're supposed to do it. Like not gonna ask someone to bow out for me, like, but I probably should have.
It's kind of interesting of Travis's your arc with immunity idols. You also played in Coco Pele season of 6, and you were like this close to finding the idol at Tribal Council. I mean, Travis was like within reach of it. So then this idol, you're steps away from it, and then in Pirate Booty Camp season 3, you actually find the idol. So it's cool to watch those arcs over time.
Yes, the idol's a devil still though. Like I played it wrong. Like I did better with a fake idol in my pocket than I ever did with a real one. So they're just like, as much as you want them and need them, they're also like, oh my God, look at that picture. Jeez Louise, look at that group.
Be still my heart. You're all so precious. I love it.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I love it. Corey. Like, literally, like, why is he there? I think you can actually kind of see some of the poison ivy on his face there. It looks kind of like.
If you look close, he's kind of giving the side eye too. Like,
yeah, that was just pus.
So let's go back in time. What was the breakdown of the tribes at Merge? I can kind of see. So it's how many of who?
There was 5 to 3.
So just these 3. Oh, I see it. It's there.
Yeah.
How did it kind of play out? I mean, I've watched this season, but I watch LRGs all the time, and I have a terrible long-term or short-term memory. So tell me about kind of the dynamics that you guys remember at Merge. What was happening?
I mean, it was pretty much like a reverse Pagongan, kind of. I think Jalen had Desiree and Darren, and he kind of brought in Jared and Evan. So they really, I think Stephanie and Corey were seen as a pair, so they automatically wanted to break that up. So that's pretty much why the dynamics fell the way they did, because they had some vendetta against Corey and Stephanie by association.
It was nonstop, like paranoia party with Jalen, like all these. They were the ones, Evan, Jalen, and Jared were the ones that actually were doing like the pre-planning and stuff, that they projected all this other stuff. Like, Corey and Travis rode down together. We did. We also met 2 days before at my house, and then I drove him down. You know what I mean? Like, we didn't have this, and we were never even ever on the same tribe, ever, the entire game. So, like there were just these big things where it's like, oh, you've got to watch out for that pair. But really, the pair I thought was Evan and Jalen. But then that's when the game gets juicy, is like once Jalen and Evan kind of have this insurmountable lead, they both recognize that and realize, like, I'm not going to the end with you. Like, and that's when the game starts to get kind of spicy, I think. And then anything Steph Katz says is gold.
Always.
Go ahead, Michael.
Sorry, I hate to do this. I actually have to bow out here, and I hate it because I know Amos just got here. But I appreciate you having me on, and hopefully we can do this again more with more Reelfoot seasons, because I have so much Reelfoot knowledge and it's just rotting my brain. So I'm ready to spill it out.
Hopefully we'll make it through all of them.
Yeah.
That's the plan. We'd love to have you for all of them, Michael.
Cool. Thank you so much. I'm gonna head out. Thank you guys.
Bye, Michael.
And then there were 3.
Well, I was going to just mention one of the things that I don't know if you did as much with future seasons, but I loved that you did with season 1 was you did the Ponderosa, and there were just little tiny video clips of us watching the people come in, and that was one of the best. It was just so much fun after you were out. Oh my god! Quit looking at these pictures while I'm talking. What is this?
Sorry.
But Ponderosa, I remember we kept pretending like we didn't know what was going on, and so when the person would walk through the door, we would always like act like we were totally shocked. And what are you doing here? And what happened? And I don't know. Those little things, like those are the real bonding moments of the season. And I don't know. It was my extra 2 minutes of fame were in those little Ponderosa videos, but they just show you that like the game is going on outside of the game. Like those people that are voted out, they still go somewhere. They go do something, you know. So I think it's one of the more human aspects of the show. You really like have to recognize when you sign up for these things that someone's going to be the first person to go, and you can still have a total blast, even if that's you.
Most everybody is going to be a loser. You have to go in with that mentality that you want to win, but you're probably going to lose.
Mm-hmm.
Then you can kind of have a good time, I think, and be okay with it.
Yeah.
There's Corey looking sneaky.
Yeah. Oh, that does look sneaky. Like what's in that water bottle?
Oh gosh, Rebecca's gonna hate me, but she's looking so. I mean, this is definitely after like 40 hours of rain, right?
Yes. Yeah, that is not opening day.
No, you can kind of tell the change in expressions as time goes. But Corey looks fine all the time.
Well, yeah, I think he was in an altered state. He does. He looks like he's happy to be there. I think about how far it's come, Amos. That's what blows my mind is because I was planning Darwin around the same time that you were planning Reelfoot, which is a 1-season game. I didn't put out episodes because my computer crashed and ate everything I had. So Reelfoot was just like I had poured a lot of my energy into like hyping this season because it was proof that you could do these, that you could have people over and film them, and then Jorge worked his magic and just like took the storyline to a new level. And then I just think, as much as people kind of joke about this being the redheaded stepchild season, you know, it's barely makes the cut, but it's really the catalyst that made Reelfoot what it is, because people still to this day, season 8 and 9, are like, I want my episodes, you know, because this is what people want, and you gave it to them. So kudos to that. You know, 11-person game is a start, but look at what it became. How many people have played Reelfoot since its origin?
I don't know the exact amount, but the smallest cast we had was seasons 1 and 2, and then we haven't had less than 20 people per season since then, and we've done 8 seasons, so
wow,
a lot. I think it's close to 100 people.
That's crazy. That's so cool.
It's super inspiring for me too, because I was hosting Coco Pele up until 2012. For a variety of reasons, 2013 fell through and we went on a huge long hiatus. Amos, you even applied as a contestant. I don't even know if you remember this.
I did?
You did. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
I don't even remember.
Yeah. So then it's so cool. I remember being so inspired afterwards because it was like, oh, I can't pull this off myself or my team. And then watching these, I remember yours was the next game that I ever saw. And then it just started to like grow, like bigger and bigger after I think Reelfoot 2.
Mm-hmm. Well, what you just said too is people think they can't do this because it's just one person. what people don't realize, like this season, I literally was hosting, setting up challenges, which were pretty generic challenges, but still setting up challenges, filming. I had literally Rebecca's husband was there helping me film. So literally we had 3 people. I mean, technically 3 people, but one person, wasn't there a lot. But so we had 2 people running around trying to get all this filmed and all this stuff set up and all this stuff on footage. So with a camera that had the tape that you put in, like the cassette tape. So that's why the footage is so grainy on a lot of it. So yeah, I mean, if people think they can't do it, just look what we did, And we literally, our location fell through like 6 days before, so we literally had to do it in the backyard. Like, so, don't let anything stop you. If you want to do it, do it.
Mm-hmm.
And then considering how big was your production crew for seasons 7 and 8 comparably?
We had probably, but throughout the week, about 20 to 25 members of production, which was a lot. So yeah, going from just 2 people to 20, 25 people. So I mean, it grows.
That's huge. It's one of the biggest productions. I mean, you can consider like what Live to Give probably has a ton. Survival Challenge has a big crew, and Reelfoot. I can't really think of any others that have such large, massive crews. It's pretty impressive.
Because we have our contestants, they all want to come back. All the alumni wants to come back and help out. And then as contestants get eliminated, they want to help out. So the production grows every year, and from the season, like from day 1 to day, 7 or 8, however many days we do.
So Amos, what are some of your favorite memories from season 1? When you think of season 1 in retrospect, what pops out to you?
This happens to me every season, but season 1, it really kind of has a soft spot in me. Is just before the game even started, just having everybody there, just knowing something you created and something you worked. Because I actually worked on this, like planned it here and there for like 4 years, and I finally decided to do it. So this is something that I've been trying to do for a really long time, just to have people there that wanted to do it. And to know that it was happening, it was huge. Like that was probably the biggest moment for me in the entire series. It's just having it all come together for that very first time.
Oh, that's big.
Yeah.
For me, mine's not as sappy. I really loved the gross food challenge. I actually got the luxury of going to buy some of the items for the food challenge, and getting to see people consume some of those things was just about, you guys know, if you've watched any of the games I've ever done, that's my favorite moment, is making people eat things that are gross. So that was one of my favorites. I loved watching that. And then I think in general, like watching I call them kids because that's kind of what they were to me, but like the kids really take over the season and run it the way that they wanted to run it. There was no old people going to tell them how to do things. That was for sure.
Right. And I loved seeing people grow, and it happens, like I said, every season, but season 1, you watch people from day 1 because a lot of these people played online games. So they had this mentality of, I know how to play this game. And then they get in the game and they're very humbled by it, because it's like, wow, this is totally different. Just watching them kind of grow as people, especially people like, Darren and Desiree, she didn't even know you had to vote people out until they went to tribal council. Like, she just signed up. She thought it was like an outdoor adventure. And for her to, get all the way to the end, and actually play a decent game for the knowledge that she had for the game. So, I mean, just watching people like that, figure it out and have fun. That's what it's all about.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And I think that so many people are appreciative that, that you've put this on. And Kirk, exception, you've put on games. Anyone that hosts these pours so much time and energy into it, but not even just energy, like themselves. Like it's like a child, you know what I mean? Like, you stand behind it and you support it, but you're also nervous for it and you hope that it turns out good, and you hope people enjoy it and love it as much as you love it. And I think people see that from good hosts. Yep, there he is right there, Mr. Probst himself.
Mr. Probst.
I guess that was when I thought I had to wear the Jeff Probst shirts. Now I'm just like, I'm just going to be Amos.
You had it. You had it, man. I
I
love it, though.
I thought I did anyway.
My guess here is Jared wins.
This is the balance beam competition, with like the word puzzle kind of thing at the beginning of the game. This was one I still love watching this challenge because it is super basic, but it's a fun little relay, and it shows the group athleticism that season 1 really brought to the table.
Oh, you guys are gonna make me cry. Okay. Always happy Corey.
Yeah. Lord, I didn't realize all these photos existed.
Yeah, this is a great
Yeah.
website. It's amazing.
Jeez Louise. That right there, it's all tied up.
All tied up, a nice little. Oh, so exciting. But yeah, I mean, so much of what we watch today comes from this season. So many of the developments in the live reality games. I mean, of course, we were doing stuff, but this is the first one I feel like a lot of us really got to absorb, watch, get to know the characters. There's Jared looking like a snack, like he did throughout the whole thing. But yeah, I mean, it was exciting, and like you guys said, that's so true. Like seeing it come to fruition, seeing your ideas actually happen, that's such an amazing thing.
Mhm.
So, kind of, I think we're usually trying to keep these about an hour. We've gone a little bit long. Amos, what other? I mean, you've kind of taken a break with stuff. Any projects or any things that you want to let your fans know that you're working on right now?
Yeah, we took a break 2020. Thank God we did because COVID and everything. But we do have season 9 in the works for 2021. We actually are going to release applications probably sometime this weekend. Exact dates are still to be determined, but we are working on it. We've been working the past few weeks, so we're excited about that.
That's music to my ears. That's great to hear.
Absolutely. And if people are interested, where do the apps drop?
What we'll do is post it on our Facebook page. So it may sometime this weekend. Just kind of keep an eye on our Facebook page. We'll make a post, and it'll have a link to the application on there.
So if you are not already a member of that page, you want to find Surviving Reelfoot on Facebook. They also have presence, I think, on some other social media. I think I've seen you guys on Instagram.
Yeah, we have Instagram. We have the website, but we don't really do much with it these days. Everything we do is pretty much, since we went live feeds and everything, we pretty much just stick to Facebook and Instagram. But we'll have the application on Instagram as well.
Perfect. That's great. So for all of you that are hoping to get a shot to play Survivor, this is a series you should definitely consider, definitely apply for. We will also drop links on our page, Live Reality Games. If you join the group LRG Casting, we will put some links in there once we see the apps ourselves. So if you miss it there, you can find it here. And also, again, like their page, but also like and subscribe to us so that we can provide you guys more content. We want to talk more about these old games as much as we want to talk about the new games. And one new thing that we're doing as well, which is kind of exciting, we're getting LRGers to talk about reality TV, because that we emulate reality TV. And there's something you said, Amos, that Tyler Kakuno just said recently, somebody you know very well from Survivor BC. He was talking about the difference between org players and LRG players, and the difference between somebody at home sitting in their chair, strategizing versus people who have played it. And so we're trying to put out more content where different LRG players, hosts, producers are talking about the things that we emulate. So we just started Big Brother, and we'll be doing another short podcast on that on Sunday before the actual Big Brother episode drops. So that will be exciting. Anything with you, Travis? Any updates? Anything?
Wow. Not a ton. Home for the Holidays season 4 is in limbo right now. The game was supposed to take place in April of 2020. There was a cast that had been informed that they were playing. I do intend to keep that cast as much as possible, but I'm sure there will be some changes moving forward. We're really just looking for a safe date to host it, and then we'll get things back on board. More than likely, it's looking probably like the spring of 2021, but nothing's official. We really have to navigate those people who want to play. I feel like people interest in these games are going to skyrocket now that we've gone through COVID. I can't imagine people being like, "Oh, I'll play next summer." Like, we're all like, "Is there a next summer?" Like, so there better be, and if there is, I think people are going to be like really chomping at the bit to play some of these games. I'm also always looking to start new games. I know that's something that you're passionate about, Kirk, as well. I've been eyeballing some games that might even be like COVID friendly, but reaching out to these different hosts, we find a lot that emulate games that already exist: Survivor, Big Brother, Amazing Race, Mole, things like that. But there are a lot of games that are created from scratch, very unique formats. Kirk made an amazing game called Gold Rush. Hopefully he can talk about sometime. There's just really, really fun variety out there. And I'm hoping that with this invention here that we can start to really highlight some of the games that are a little bit outside of the boundaries of Survivor and Big Brother.
Absolutely, like Golden Gates. I know they're doing the totem pole Tuesdays. They just did a totem pole Thursday. So yeah, I'm really excited to explore all of the different genres that we can create. We're going to finish with Matt, who just played his first LRG in Survivor BC. He said, "You guys are awesome." Thanks for the compliment, Matt. And that's going to be it for our Throwback Thursday old school LRGs. Amos, thanks for joining us. Travis, as always, it's a pleasure. And we will talk to you all very soon.
Bye, guys.
Bye.